Hello. How's everybody doing tonight? Sorry for the late links, coming out and everything. It was all last minute stuff. Digital Woodcarver, y'all know I work full time with Digital Woodcarver. We're rolling out tomorrow a big live stream that's just for Digital Woodcarver customers. We're rolling out a new user interface for the Digital Woodcarver CNC machines, and it's a critical update for customers because it's going to kind of change the way they, work with their machine and everything. And with it being so, critical, there's a lot of details and everything. So it's really occupied a bunch of my time. And then once I get past tomorrow, I'll be good again. But I had someone reach out to me, a potential, I guess, customer, I guess you could call him. It's just an individual that was referred to me, and he works for the police department in, it's either police or sheriff, one of the law enforcement departments in Tennessee. They have some kind of little event coming up on in a month from now. And he asked me if I could replicate or make a particular item for him. And it has nothing to do with law enforcement, this item. It's just a stand. It's like a little 9-inch, almost like a candle stand. And so I think it's like it's going to be a gift or something. I'm not sure exactly what the premise behind it is, but the photos that he shared with me and everything with the stand, it's not a project that's going to be solely made on the 4th axis or solely made on the flat table. It's kind of a combination of both. So the tops and bottoms are going to be made on the rotary axis, and then, on the flat table. And then the stem, the middle, is going to be made on the rotary axis. And I asked him, I said, now listen, the pictures you sent aren't that great. I said, how accurate do I need to be on this replication, this project? He says, it doesn't need to have to be an exact match, close, but it doesn't have to be exact. And I said, okay. I said, that'll work. So I have this project that I want to design, and I thought it would be a great project to go with you on, because we're going to be using tools. We're going to be using Aspire to make the models and all, but we're going to be using tools like the rotate and spin tool, which we don't use that often. So you'll get to see that. It's going to be a 2-sided project, and part of it's going to be a rotary project. So we need to know how to handle that situation and stuff. Now, it's going to test Vetric on something, because I don't think, even though I have multiple sheets, let's say multiple parts, multiple sheets, I don't think, we'll find out here in a few minutes, that I can do a rotary project and a 2-sided project in the same project window, just a different sheet, right? Not 100% sure, but we're going to find out. And if not, it's just 2 separate projects, and then they'll end up getting put together, with nice threaded inserts and little stems and all that stuff, put together on. Or if he doesn't want it to be where it can be disassembled, then it'll be, assembled with posts and glue and all that stuff. Now, before we get into the project, there's one other thing I wanted to talk to you about. I had a customer reach out to me and was in the middle of a carving, and the carving turned out terrible. And he did not know what was going on. And he started questioning everything. The machine, the router bit, how he calculated the toolpath, things that he has done and dealt with every day, right? He knows how his machine performs. He knows how to create toolpaths, and he knows how to select the right bit and all of this stuff, right? But he questioned everything because this thing just kind of threw him for a loop, right? It was just like, he's like, man, I can't, I'm racking my brain here. I'm going crazy. I can't figure out what it is. And so he sent me pictures of screenshots of his toolpaths. He sent me pictures of screenshots of the router bits he chose. He sent me screenshots of, the design and everything. And from the pictures that, they were kind of zoomed out and everything, I said, we got to get on TeamViewer. It's a remote assistance program I use to connect with clients and all. I said, we got to take a look at, what you got going on here, and we'll try to figure it out, but, we'll get it figured out. And as soon as I connected with him, it only took 2 seconds to figure out exactly what was going on. The model that he bought 3 of them from, someone on Etsy or what have you. Disgusting quality on the model. I mean, absolutely just ferocious. And it's something that, unless you zoom into it or see the end result, which you're about to see, I'm going to show you photos, you'd have no clue, right? I don't know what he spent on the models, and I don't know what person he bought it from or any of that stuff. And I'm not, doing that. I'm not going to dox somebody, but when you're purchasing 3D models from, your sources, Etsy, Turbo Squid, CG Trader, whatever the case may be, really kind of, start off maybe with an inexpensive project from that individual or something, and test the waters, right? See what kind of quality they send you and all that stuff. He was just going down and buying almost everything the guy had and all that stuff, and all the projects were just horribly made. The vectors, the everything is just junky. So I'm going to show you some screenshots of the images, and stuff. And I'm going to show you what I had to do to, help the customer out and everything. But take a look at this, and then we're going to jump right into this project. So this is kind of a little bit of a caution, and when you're buying things, really pay attention to the detail, and also, try look how's their ratings, watch read their reviews and all that kind of stuff. So let's take a quick look. Let's do a screen share, and let me get the everything here. And let me open both photos. Okay, screen. We're going to share an entire window, entire screen. And we're going to go big with it and all. So at the end of my client's carving, now this gold stuff up here, that's his dust brush, right? He just took a picture, kind of raised the router up a little bit and everything. But he said, Laney, it's everywhere. I don't know what's going on. I'm freaking out here, man. He said, oh, it's everywhere. There's chunks taken out of the letters and the sides and all of the design. And I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on with my machine. And I mean, like I said, he questioned everything. Right. And he knows how to carve. He knows, he makes some, beautiful projects, but one little mistake and all of a sudden he started just questioning everything. Right. And so I said, well, listen, because he thought, oh my God, I got to, buy new motors. I got to do something. He said, something's gone terribly wrong. Right. He thought he was about to have to put out a lot of money. I said, all right, no problem. Let's take a look. And so first thing that we jumped on, and I don't have his actual program or anything. I just have a kind of a screenshot that I took of it. And so this is the screenshot of the project and everything. And at first glance, at this distance, right, doesn't seem to be, anything wrong with it, right? There's nothing, doesn't seem to be anything wrong with it. But as we start to really kind of zoom in and everything on the letters, look at the inside of that A, right? The letters, and it's a little blurry. I have to, forgive me, but the sides of the cross and everything, just all of the vectors. And I explained, I said, now you've done this long enough that you know that your CNC is going to carve what it's told to carve. And all of those anomalies that you see that you're panicking over and everything, they are the design. That's what the design, that's what the CNC was told to carve, and that's why you have it. So it came out exactly like it was supposed to look, right? Even though it's not right for you, right? The quality sucks, right? But I'm sorry, it is what it is. That's the that's the lettering. And he's like, oh my God, I bought 3 of these models from this dude and everything. I said, well, you need to go back to that dude or whoever it was, you need to go back to them and see if they will make it right or, refund you or whatever the case may be. But the problem is not in your machine. The problem is in your design. It's a very low resolution. And so I said, okay, I said, listen, this is a pretty straightforward design and everything. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be identical. But I've got a bark model. I've got some swirls that I can make. I can type out the word love and this and all. I can remake this model for you, because he was making it for, I think, his daughter or something like that. I said, look, I can remake this model for you in a high resolution. And you got to give me a day or two to just kind of, to get it done, right? And everything. And so I did. Over the weekend, I did my little version of the sign. And when you come in here and everything, when you're looking at the letters, when you're looking at the swirls, when you're looking at the edges and everything, the quality of the design, that's what you're looking for. You want precision, right? And so I was able to remake it for him. He was able to kind of carve, I was able to send him this STL, and he was able to carve it for his daughter, and all was right with the world and blah, blah, blah. But yeah. So the moral of this story is this. And I told him, I said it wasn't going to be the same because I didn't want to make it exact same. The letters are different. The little swirl, there's a double swirl here versus, the single swirl there and stuff like that. The straight legs. I told him it wouldn't be exactly the same, but it would be, somewhat close. But we were able to get them back up and going. So the moral of the story is you carve with your machine on a regular basis. Hopefully, hopefully we're making those things, make sawdust and all that stuff on a regular basis. But what you produce off of there. Your router bits. You create tool paths and everything like that. If something doesn't go wrong, or if something doesn't go right, and something goes wrong, whether it be minorly wrong or horribly wrong, there's a reason, right? And of course, we all know that. That was stupid to say. That's me stating the obvious. There's a reason why it went wrong. But I know my machine's performance, and I know how to load a router bit and zero things out. And I know that, the way that looked and everything, that there is you know, it's too consistent. I mean, it's everywhere. It's on everything. It's just too consistent. It's not a randomness or whatever. I mean, it's literally everything, right? So the first thing that I'm going to do, rather than freak out or whatever, is I'm going to start on my troubleshooting span. I'm going to start from the design and work my way to the machine. First of all, it literally, when he opened up his Vectric software, when I connected him remotely, it was an instant. It's right there. There's your problem. I mean, you could see it right away. This is what I saw on his screen. This is exactly what I saw. And you could just, even at this distance for me, I don't know how it translates on the computer screen, but you can see how unstraight the vectors are, as far as they're really choppy and everything. So, I mean, it was like an instant thing, right? He had, he had not even thought about looking at the design, because he bought it, thought, he bought a good model, right? Well, I always start with the design. Let's look at that. Let's make sure that, everything is good there. And then I look at the toolpath. Maybe I chose the wrong bit or something, but not for that kind of pattern. A wrong bit wouldn't do that, or what have you. It's a lot of up and down chopping at the letters and everything. But I would still look at that, and I would look at the toolpath. I would run my simulation. Your simulation, if you have the Vectric software, is a 98% representation in the highest resolution. Higher resolution, the extremely high. It's a 98% representation just about of what your project's going to look like, right? So, if it comes out nice and clean and beautiful in the simulation, and comes out bad on the table, that's one thing. But he didn't run the simulation, but that simulation will tell you a lot. And that was a pretty piece of walnut that he was carving. I think it was walnut or something. But so I kind of start working through it. Now, if everything checks out, I mean, all green lights with the design, I'm going to go over to my controller software and make sure that, I don't have something weird, on the controller software, like that maybe I saved the toolpath with a laser post processor or something funky instead of the mill post processor. I'm going to look at make sure I don't have, make sure my X, Y, and Z are good and all that, whatever. I'm going to raise my router up, move my router around, make sure there's no jerkiness or nothing, like the motor's hitting loose connection or something. Make sure I got some smooth movement. And I'm going to start troubleshooting this, right? And, it's either going to be starting at the design, or it's going to be somewhere in the machine, right? It's going to be somewhere from point A to point B in that middle area there. And so when you're looking and you're troubleshooting things and all, common sense, start where you started from the design. Go over it carefully and thoroughly, because you've already carved and something's gone wrong, right? So take your time, take a deep breath, grab a cup of coffee, whatever relaxes you. Don't stress. Sit down, look. You may not know what you're looking for, but if you look at your design, you're looking for something that's pretty obvious of why it did that, right? It stands out. It's the same results, right? And then just kind of methodically just start working your way through. Just like you made the design and you made the toolpath and you brought that toolpath over to your software and you ran on the machine, your troubleshooting should kind of take on that same order. Start with the design. Make sure everything is right with it. Make sure everything is okay with your toolpath. You saved it with the right post processor, and then look at your controller software, and then get to the mechanical, right? Don't automatically assume it's the machine. Hell, it could have been something just as simple as the connection from the computer to the machine. The USB cable connection or Ethernet, depending on how they were connected, was a poor connection, and it simply just needed a restart so it could refresh the connection so the motors and everything run smoothly. It could have been, a Windows update or something that it was interfering with the driver and causing erratic behavior. A shutdown of the computer so it can finish its updates, fixes something like that. I mean, it could literally be anything and everything. And so this is just me kind of showing you something that was presented to me the other day, and the customer's immediate reaction to it all going wrong, right? And I was like, what? I bet you that would happen to other people too, where they start doubting everything. They start doubting what they know, what their machine's doing and what it does and all that stuff. And they throw all that out the window and just think, oh, the worst, right? And everything. And never doubt yourself. Never doubt your, what you know that you do on a regular basis. Long story short, that's just my little, I don't know if you want to call it a pro tip, but it's just a tip, right? So, all right. Enough of that. Now, let's close out of that. Let's close out of all of this. And let's go to the File Explorer. And let's open up these two photos that were sent to me by this individual asking me if I could make this part. Okay. So here's what we're making. This little stand. Now, I told him, I said, now, listen, bud, this stand looks like it's probably made out of like a pot metal or a metal, cast, whatever. I don't know. I said, you do realize that whatever I make is going to be made out of wood? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to paint it anyway or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So when looking at this and looking at, the dish at the top and then the bottom base and everything, I immediately decided this is going to be 3 separate pieces. The top piece, the bottom piece, which would go to this part right there, that ring, and then everything in between from that point up would be the rotary axis. One, it'll save me from having to, it's only a 4-inch diameter. If we look at the other photo, it's only 3 3/4 inches wide, right? So it's not really that wide at all. But the dish is pretty straightforward. Just an inside chamfer, flat bottom, no big deal. We can use our spin and swirl tool or spin and rotate and spin tool in the software. And then on the bottom or on the back side, kind of it's got a bit of a straight ledge. Then it on the outside of that upper dish, straight ledge, and then kind of a little bit of a curve, but at a little bit of a curve, kind of an angle, and then the bottom, right? So it'll be a 2-sided project for that. And this thing only stands when all 3 pieces are together. It only stands at 9 1/4 inches tall, roughly 9 1/4 inches tall. And if I were to guesstimate, we are about 5/8 of an inch thick on this bolt. Because let's say, and again, it's kind of crooked now. It's probably about, it could probably be 3/4 and be fine. Because we're a little bit over 1/4 here. We're a couple, we're about in a 1/16 up here, and then, another 1/8 below here. So let's call that 5/8, 11/16. We'll go 11/16. So that one's going to be 11/16. Now the bottom base is going to be more, but I can ascertain once I kind of get things laid out about how tall I want that. I did not get a chance to ask him hey, can you measure the base from this to that? Again, it was, someone that was referred to me. So I just say, send me some photos. And then when I saw the photos, I thought, man, they could be better photos. You want me to make this, give me some lighting, give me something, right? And that kind of thing. But so I just took it with what it was. I can kind of ascertain the design and everything. So you and I tonight are going to go through and we're going to lay out this design based on my interpretation of the profile and all of that good jazz. Okay. All right. So how's everybody doing in the chat? Let me know. Give me some thumbs up. Let me know you're all awake. I got JR and I got JR. Are you still around? Let me see if JR is still around. Yeah, let me bring JR in. I didn't even see JR pop up there. Hey, JR, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
Good. Gold members. Now, gold members, I put out a link in the community on the page. If you're a gold member and you want to join me on screen, you want to join me on screen like JR and like Ronnie does from time to time and stuff like that. There's a link in the community area on the Spindle TV YouTube channel. It's for gold members only. You can click that link. It'll say gold members. Here's your link to get the class, and you can join me live online, and you can just hang out. JR, how's things going with you, bud?
Good. I may disappear. I'm under a severe weather threat right now.
I hear it. Yeah, I hear the rain. Yes. I hear the rain. There's a song that reminds me of. But the Florida weather, we're coming into hurricane season. And so we've been getting hitting with lots of rain and everything. I don't even really want to go look to see if there's any hurricanes coming our way or anything like that. I just wait till they tell us, we're getting a lot of bands. We're getting a lot of storms. So I don't know where they're coming from. And also, hopefully it's not too much rain and your plants get a good dose, but not oversaturated. All right, let's see what we got here in the chat. Roger S., how you doing, buddy? Doug Fushi. Hey, if you're in the chat, I don't know who it might be. Somebody in our chat owns a 3D printer, and they did some 3D printing and talked to me about it, and they made a dragon. We carved a dragon model. I can't remember. Doug, that wasn't you, was it? It wasn't Doug Fushi. It was someone else. But I'm a carver. I'm a CNC guy, right? Never dabbled. I've never dealt with Fusion 360. I never did 3D printing, building. I carve, I take away wood. I don't build things, right? But I have to start. So I'm a newbie. I am a newbie, and it's scary because there's a little bit more to 3D printing than carving. CNC carving, man, is easy for me to jump into. 3D printing, there's bed leveling, there's temperatures, there's, how much fill do we put into a part? There's all kinds of stuff, bridges and gaps and this and that. It's like, holy camoly, man. So it actually, believe it or not, for me, 10 years teaching CAD CAM design, CNC and everything. It's intimidating to me, and I'm learning Fusion 360. That's a good little program, but I'm not going to give any endorsement to it. But I'm using the free version, and it's pretty good. Now, just a little bit of a show and tell. I am getting ready to release some kits from limit switches that can attach to our smaller CNCs and everything. And the limit switch that I decided to go with and everything, I don't want the customers to have to drill and tap holes in their aluminum, their bearings for their Z, or, the spots that they're only available on the machines, where these go and stuff. And I don't want them to have to try to drill and tap and, and all that stuff and everything. So the first thing I had to make was a little plate that actually fit into the back holes. And let me get this up, but fit into the back holes, and I don't want to snap it into place because it's really hard to get off, but snaps into place, and then this just mounts right to the part, on the machine. And it actually, believe it or not, and it holds like a champ on our metal parts. I mean, you actually mount it with CA glue, and it ain't coming off. I did some serious testing. I'm like, holy geez. But I mean, it'll come off if you pry it off, but it's enough to hold the limit switch on a permanent. And then I also have other brackets like this that have a hole in for one single hole that screws in on our plastic parts using these little boogers. these little guys. I don't know if that even shows up on the screen, but these little plastic thread cutting screws, right? So, so having to learn how to 3D print. Holy camole. Anyway, I wanted to share that little tidbit with you. But no, it's not Doug. Okay, Doug, it's got to be someone else. It's someone else. It wasn't you. I don't know why Doug, I always think of you when I think of, someone I talk to in my text messages, but it's not you. Okay, so this part, ladies and gentlemen, let's get cranking on this. I've wasted too much time talking. And let's jump over into the Vectric software. And like I said, I'm going to be using Vectric Aspire because I am going to be building these parts and everything, but we're going to be using a special tool in the Vectric Aspire called the spin and turn tool or rotate and spin. We'll see what exactly the name of it is. But this part in the Vectric software, I'm going to do. I'm going to look. So let me quit saying all the time. I'm going to look and see if I can do a two-sided job and a rotary job in the same setup with different sheets. I don't think so. I don't think it'll let me do that. But if I come over here, I'll find out right now. If I come over here, I'm going to go with a 5x5 blank that's 3/4 inches thick for the stop part, 0.75. And I'm just going to touch off on the material surface, start in the bottom left corner, and I'm going to click OK. Actually, no, that's fine. Now I'm going to create a sheet. I'm going to add new sheet, and let's say that I want this sheet 2 to be my rotary, right? So I'm going to click on, make sure it's bold. I want to edit. Does it give me the choice? No. So it disappears those rotary, two-sided, single-sided job. It disappears that. So whatever the job is set up as, all the sheets within that job are going to be that, right? So, okay, that answers that question. So immediately, that's that. So let's go back to the design job setup because this has to be a two-sided job. And I'm going to just touch off on the top of each side. We'll be fine. Again, I'm going to start in the bottom left corner, and I'm going to flip. I like flipping my boards this way, front to back, kind of like, like this way, but this way right here. So this way instead of left to right. I like that flip for me, so that's what I'll choose. And then we're going to click OK. Now, here's the key. I'm building models, so I want to turn my resolution up. Right, so I'm going to hold down my shift key and come back into that job setup, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to just choose extremely high for tonight. I'll go back and increase that later. But when I'm making models that I like, the model that I made for the gentleman who needed that cross and all, when I'm making models that I sell, when I'm making models, anything like that go to a customer or client, I use the maximum resolution, always the maximum resolution, to give them the best quality that it could possibly give. Okay, so when it comes to the 3D tools, one of the tools that we have is called the spin and turn tool, or turn and spin tool, turn and spin tool. Finally got the name right. And so on that turn and spin tool, I can do kind of almost like vessels, or I can do, let's call it platters. Right, and that's what I want. I want the spin around the left end point. Okay, so it says spin around the left end point. So when I draw the vector, I don't know what those notifications are that keep popping up, but when give me just a second here. Oh, okay, somebody's commenting. When I draw a vector, wherever the left end of that vector ends, that's where the part's going to rotate around, right? So the right side is going to rotate around that left side. So I want the left side to be in the center, right? So that's fairly obvious for what I want. And so let's close that for just a minute, and I'm going to bring a guideline and just kind of snap to my center, kind of just get that center point visually on the screen for me. And the vector, I always start out with a square. Okay. Now, this is going to be a two-sided job. So one side, versus the other. Now, on this side, my vector is going to go out to the edge, to that straight edge. It's not going to try to do the undercut. On the outside, there's that undercut. If we look at the photo again here, let's zoom in. So on the straight edge on the outside, no problem. I can come up and over and then do my there's a little chamfer on the inside of the dish. So it just chamfers in and it's flat, right? No problem. But on the outside, past that flat, everything that's going under and around that little round, and kind of taper and all, that's all undercut. Can't get to it from side A, right? Side one or the top side. So all of this from here to here is going to be side two, right? So my part is the piece that I'm going to do. I'm going to make my rectangle that I'm using for my initial pour about 3/4 inches thick. Like that's how thick my part's going to be. I've already decided that's how thick this is going to be. And then I'm going to visually guesstimate how thick my base is versus that pocket, right? Because I don't have those numbers. They weren't provided to me. How deep is the bowl and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to assume the bowl is at least 3/8 of an inch deep, half and half. And so it's got a 3/8 of an inch base, 3/8 of an inch deep. Now on the base, I do need thickness because I am going to be, gluing the post. Let's call that the column, whatever, the pedestal, if you will. I'm going to be gluing that, in a hole, whether it be a dowel or threads, if he wants it to screw on and off, whatever the situation, I got to have some meat there, right? So I'll leave myself 3/8 of an inch there. So my dish will go in 3/8. So here on my profile, I'm going to take my guideline here, and everybody can see that. I'm going to take my guideline and I'm going to go up 3/8 of an inch, a relative move, 0.375. Okay. And that's going to give me this guideline. I got to make my my rectangle the right size. So it's going to be 3/4 inches tall. And it's going to be 2.5 inches wide. Uncheck that. Pop that up. There we go. All right. So halfway up. And then on my, with my guidelines and everything, I'm going to look at this image again. And I'm going to, again, guesstimating, I'm going to say that this lip is at least 1/4 of an inch thick. Could even be a little bit more, but I'm going to call it 1/4 of an inch thick, this lip. And this upper part here, going up this vertical, I'm going to call that 1/4. He can always tell me to change it, after he sees it or whatever the case may be. So that's the numbers I'm going to use. So this is my top side. On my guidelines, and this is where I love where guidelines will help me lay out this whole thing and everything. On my guidelines, I'm going to make a relative move to the left. So it's going to be a negative number, and it's going to be 0.25 inches. So that's going to be here. And then this one is already kind of, 3/8 of an inch up. And so that means I have 3/8 in here. And my lip is going to come down 1/4. So I'm just going to make a relative move on another one, 1/8 of an inch up. And it's a positive number from there. All right. So now in node editing, I now can insert a point here. Now, sometimes, if you're on a guideline and everything, and you're trying to, like, I need to get on this line so I can right click to go into, node editing or whatever the case may be. And if it doesn't let you, because it still gives you that two-headed arrow and stuff, when you click one time, like if it gives you that two-headed arrow, you click one time, the two-headed arrow go away and it'll turn into the tool. Left click, it'll turn into the tool that you want, that you're using, not that you want. So if you're sitting there, and I want to insert a point there, but if you're sitting there struggling and you're like, on a guideline, it's giving you that two-headed, like, how in the heck? I can't, what's going on? Just single click your mouse once, and it'll get rid of the two-headed arrow and give you the tool that you're using. Now, even though I snapped on that node, I zoom in and I missed it. So I'm going to go ahead and move it over. And, let me, bear with me. It's crazy that sometimes it won't let you, snap right there, even though your smart snapping is on. All right, so that's going to be that. Now coming down here, okay, I need to insert a point. Missed that one too by a mile. I'm holding my shift or my control key for micro movements and using the up arrow key to bump that node up. All right. So now I have this part to this part, and then now there's going to be a chamfer. That angle, I have no clue what that angle is, right? So when we look at the photo, and of course, being proper, and you're dealing with a customer, it's like, hey, can you, try to determine what the distance is of that angle? What's the measurement from the outside of the lip right here, the inside of the lip, to the inside of the flat? What's that distance? Is it a 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch? Is it a 1/16? What's the distance and all? And I can determine the angle from that, right? So I don't know what that angle is, but I'm going to assume it's 30 degrees. And he can, I can check with him before I actually run the part. I'll probably have a good long conversation with him to make sure I'm getting paid. But no, just kidding. But I'll be able to determine that part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a guideline. I'm going to snap right here on top of this one, but I'm going to right click on the properties of the guideline, and I'm going to change the angle. And I need the angle to change this way, right? So if I slide the slide bar like I'm at 90, and if I go to 135, and hit apply, you see I'm going this way, right? If I come over here and I go to, let's say, 75, going that way, right? That kind of thing. So I need to go 30 degrees. So I need to go to 60, not 75. 60. 60.0. Okay. Now, once I have that angle on that, I can go here, and then I can draw a line if I want to, and the part and all that, but I'm using node editing. So once again, on node editing, because I already have the rectangle. My rectangle is my profile here. So this is the center of my dish, my bowl. So this is going to go down to that 3/8 inch mark right there. This, I'm going to insert a point, and I'm going to bring this point to this intersection right there. That's the intersection at 30-degree angle. So I'm going to drag this point and snap it to that intersection. And that's going to create, that profile. Now, the bottom span gets deleted. Delete the span. And the span over here past this 1/4 inch mark gets deleted. Delete that span. So if I turn off the points, I'm left with this vector. And let me move it off the screen, not off the screen, but off the side for a minute so you can see the side. But that's going to be my profile. That's going to be my top side profile. Very simple profile on this one. Now, the bottom one's going to be a little bit more involved, right? And so with the profile, we want to make sure that the left side of that profile when we're using the turn and spin tool is in the center. And also want to make sure that the height of it is to scale, right? And this should be from the top here to the bottom there should be 3/8. If I were to verify that, my vertical measurement from the top of the part to the bottom of this is, well, 3/4. So I don't want this to dip down at 3/4 and all. So delete. Let me get rid of this leg. Well, I don't think I need to get rid of that leg. That's fine. We'll leave it just like that. But it doesn't need to be 3/4. It only needs to be 3/8 because this is the top side. So I'm going to go into node editing. I'm going to cut the vector right there. And then I'm going to delete this span. There we go. So this is the top half of the part. It needs to be to the right size. All right, so now the turn and spin tool. Select that, select the rotate and spin, select your vector, select the rotate and spin. It's going to be an add, and this is going to be my, I don't even know what to call this thing. We'll just call it a candle stand, right? Whatever, candle stand, that's what we'll name it. And this will be the top. Oop. Hit my shortcut key. Candle span top. All right. Okay, now I'm not centered. I'm not centered. So my part is not centered, right? So undo that, goofball. Okay. So let's turn the guide lines on and everything. This is the center of my part. So this piece oh, close this tool. I was wondering why it wouldn't let me select it. This piece, we got to come down to the center, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're at the center. So the bottom of that 3/8 inch vector has to be in the center of the board. All right, one more time. Turn and spin. Add candle hole stick. What did I say? Candlestick? That's fine. Top. And we're going to go apply. Okay. Still a little flat there and a little flat there. So I'm going to make my board a little bit bigger. It's not going to go, I'm not going to be exact 5.5, 5.5. And also, I'm an idiot. My part is only 3 3/4 inches in diameter. I drew the vector too long. So, duh. All right, let me get the right size. So, this is the center of the part. So I'm going to take a measurement. Not a measurement. I'm going to take a guideline. And I'm going to move a guideline over to the left. So it'll be a negative number. I'm going to go over 3.75 inches. $3.75 inches divided by 2. 3.75 inches divided by 2. There we go. We'll get it. We'll get it. 1.875. Okay. All right. So now let's do that again. Negative number. There we go. So there you go. So this in node editing, these two need to move straight over and snap to there. And then this whole part as a unit needs to travel over and snap to there. Wonderful. So now we're going to turn and spin. Right. Candle. Third time's the charm. Stick top. So wonderful. So that is, let's turn off the vectors. We don't need to see those. Let's turn off the guidelines and all. That's going to be that. Now, notice something here, that my base has a bit of a conical point to it, right? And it's not flat. On the inside, it comes up as a cone, right? So, and also notice that my outside ring here also has a curvature to it. It's not flat either. Now, I don't know if that is an optical delusion or if that's true, but that has got a bit of a cone to it, or get a curve to it. Would y'all agree if y'all saw that? Do y'all agree that that has a little bit of an uprise to it right there? I know the center does, but do y'all agree with that? I think so. That raises up to that little conical point right there. So if I look at my profile on the turn and spin tool, it shows me exactly what I'm seeing right here on the screen. The little icon over here that says, spin around the left end, it's not a flat piece, it's a rounded piece, and there's a little cone in the middle, right? So the little graphic is telling me everything I need to know, that while I thought this would be the right tool, it's not. So, no problem. We will not be using the turn and spin tool for that. Okay, no problem. So, if I can't use the turn and spin tool, what are my other alternatives for creating this part? Well, the alternative is to use a single rail sweep tool. And I have to have a rail to sweep it to. So my rail is going to be my center of my 3 3/4 inch part. So let's draw a circle. And let's go out here 3 3/4 inches. 3.75. And this here is 1.1875 in overall length. This here. And if I divide that by 2, the center of this part, I can get a center line. So I'm going to offset this circle inward 1.875 and that is, let me do 3.75 divided by 2 first. 1.875, yep. Divided by 2 equals 0.9375, and that's going to give me that line. So when it comes to the single rail extrude tool, sweep tool and everything, it will create on a single line, a single rail. And it's usually the center of the part wrapping around that rail. So at this point, I do not need this part here to be over the circle. It can just be kind of up here in the corner for a moment. And let's give this a try and let's see if this is the right tool for me. So I want to select my drive rail first, my profile second. I do not need square corners on this. I'm not sweeping it between spans. And I'll call this candlestick top. And hit apply. Work with me, work with me, work with me. You can do it. Wonderful. All right, now on this, still getting that cone in the middle. Okay. Still getting that cone in the middle. Y'all see that? All right. So here's the deal. Here's the dealio. Let's look at my vector and understand exactly what's happening here. Okay. So let's understand exactly what's happening here. My part, this vector right here. Let me close this. Let me get rid of this. Because my blank is 1/4 of an inch, or sorry, 3/4 of an inch, thick, and my part is only going up to 3/8 here. It is on the center. It's trying to bring that middle point up to the bottom of this little point right here. So it's creating kind of a cone in the middle. So what I'm going to do to combat that is I'm going to put that 3/8 of an inch line back, where it was. And I'm going to reattach that back to the center point here. Let me see how if I am correct, then from here to here should be 3/4 inches thick. No, I missed it by a long shot. 0.9375 minus 0.7 minus 0.75 equals 0.1875. All right, let's measure that again. Three-quarters. Wonderful. All right, so that's going to be my first fix. This fix here should hold on, am I not joined together yet? Hold on a second. Join. Delete point. There we go. So that should correct that. Now, as far as the curve on the top, that's a mystery. I got to figure that one out. And that might be just an optical delusion. I don't know. But let's find out. So let's try this again. Single rail sweep. My center line of this part. That's my drive rail. This, and then apply. Thought this was going to be a cakewalk coming through here, but getting some unexpected results. Still got the cone. I can tell there's a cone there because, yeah, it's dark gray and it gets to the light yellow. That means it's going up. All right. That's worse. Oh. Let's turn off one of the components. No, there's only one there. I deleted the other one. That is worse. Okay. All right. Hold on now. Hold on. I got you. We're going to take, let's delete that again. We're going to take the leg off completely. All right. We're going to do it again. I got you. I think I smell what it's cooking. There we go. Okay. That is flat. All right. I am going to say that the top part is also flat, but it's just an optical delusion. It looks curved. I don't know that. I won't know that till I actually measure, but I swear. Here, let's find out. I have software that'll tell me. Let me move myself out of the way here for a minute, and let's look at our numbers at the bottom of the screen right here. The Z number. So the top of the board, the Z right here, I'm at 0.2502. As I come in, I'm at 0.2656. So it's not an optical delusion. It is dropping down. Now, I'm going to take my leg on the outside and get rid of that drop down and just have it come straight across, and we'll see what we have. So one more time, we'll hit reset. What I'm talking about is I'm going to go into node editing. And I'm going to delete that span. So that's going to be my shape right there. And is my line straight? Do I have an anomaly? No, it's a straight line. See, again, second guessing yourself, right? So don't let it get you. Okay, let's try this one more time. Use that and here, and then click apply. Now I'm also let me do that one more time. Okay. Now there's still a little tinge of yellow in there, you know, telling me that it's, you know, there's still a little bit of lift. Ooh. All right. So that lift is more now. So now I'm more. So what that tells me is my outside leg, not my inside, but my outside leg has to be full length. That's what that's telling me. Inside, no length. Outside has to be the full 3/4. Why is it telling you that, Lainey? Because that's the only thing. It has to know how thick my material is, you know, and everything. So let's draw a 3/4 inch line. Join those two together. and do it one more time. All right, what's the lesson we learn here? If this works, I should see all dark in the middle. Okay, that's promising. And all right. That is hilarious. Okay. Last hurrah. The last hurrah. Both legs on both sides of the part are now attached. Oh, Lord. It's comical. We might, I think we're going to get past this top part eventually. Lord have mercy. There we go. Solid color in the middle. Solid color across the top. My chamfer angle starts to darken as it goes down. That's what we should be seeing. That's what we should be seeing is our flat part here and flat part in the bottom. So long story short, the part required to have both legs drawn. Now, that's the single rail sweep. I'm happy with that. Got that. It requires both legs. So does that mean I want to go back and I need to verify for myself if I turn this off and I have this vector here, if I brought this vector back to, the center of my board here and all that wonderful jazz, if I have both legs and everything, will my turn and spin tool work now? Or does it still have that curvature because of that graphic showing the curvature in the cone? Let's find out. So we go to our design tool. We're going to use the turn and spin tool this time. Turn and spin. Let's turn and spin. Create, apply. No, worked out perfectly. Flat across the bottom, flat across the top, and then that light from light to dark right there, that angle. So it worked perfectly on the turn and spin tool as well. So it required both legs of the vector to be the full length of the stock. And no, there's no chance the client can send the part to me. I had asked that. There's unfortunately it wouldn't arrive, or he. There's something I don't know the whole backstory to it, but that's what I got was what I got. Now I don't mind doing the work for the guy and all because my niece recommended me, and her husband is also on the same department as this guy. So it's all good, but no, I can't. He's not going to send me a part. And plus, I don't like customers sending me parts. I don't like the liability of having it in my hands. Okay. So, long story short, the time we wasted, not really a waste of time, it's an educational moment here and everything. When I'm creating a profile for the turn and sweep tool, when I'm creating a profile for the single rail sweep tool, my part has to have both legs. It has to be drawn, that full profile to the full size. This is a full 3/4 inch piece. It steps over a quarter. It chamfers down at a 30-degree angle to 3/8. It's flat at that 3/8 mark and then comes down to the 3/4, the bottom here. So both legs on the sides have to be there in order for the part to be created correctly. So we learned that, right? And, that's good. That's not always the case with though. Sometimes you don't need that with 2-rail sweep. Sometimes with the molding toolpath, that's not required. Oh my goodness. When you're doing profiles on the rotary, you don't want the leg or it'll chop the rotary in half, kind of thing. So, I mean, there's rules for, each occasion, and they're not all the same sometimes. So, but now we know, hey, if I'm using the turn and spin tool to create kind of a flat dish, which I'll use that turn and spin tool for the next part now that I know that I have to have both legs. Just now I know. Now we know. And when you don't use tools all that often, it, you kind of forget things like that. Even though I've been teaching this software for 10 years, it took me, what time is it? 1 hour and 11 minutes. So it took me 45. I talked for a good 15, let's say. So it took me 45 minutes to realize I needed both legs on that tool. And if anyone's sitting there thinking, well, maybe, Laney, you shouldn't be teaching. All right, let's get Jared and I back on the screen there. How you doing there? All right. That'll take care of that part. So now on my second sheet, can I have another sheet? Same size, piece of wood. This will be my bottom. So I'm going to call sheet 1 my top. I still got to flip it over and do side 2 of it, right? But this is my top part, and sheet 2 is going to be my bottom. Okay. Now, before we go over to the bottom, let's go over and flip over to the other side. And let's create the other side. Now, the other side's pretty straightforward. Once again, I'm going to start off with a rectangle, and now that I know that I need both legs, I'm good to go. So on the part, 1.875 inches in length, 3/4 inches long. So that's my rectangle. That's what my part size needs to be. Now this is, you got to remember, I'm drawing the bottom now, the bottom side. So the bottom side, of course, is flat across the bottom here. And if we go into node editing, there is a bit of a taper and everything. But before I do the taper, I'm going to create my 1/4 inch lip. So we're going to use guidelines, and I'm going to delete all the guides. I don't need all those anymore. So we're going to go to view guidelines, delete all guides, and I'm going to make a new guideline down here, and I'm going to make a copy of that guideline up relative. It's a positive number, 1/4 inch. It would help if you hit create instead of close. Up 0.25, create. Now here, if you recall on the photo on that part, there is, and the lip is kind of rounded here, more so than flat, from this view, like if I'm looking at this. But if I'm looking at the other view, which I just closed like a goofball. If I'm looking at the other view, it looks flat right there. So I'm going to just go with the flat here, but we're going to call that 1/4 inch right there. And then there's a curve, a gradual curve to a little bit of a chamfer. It's going to be a smaller set in there. So what I'm going to say that is I'm going to take this. Let's go back to the other side for a minute. I'm going to take this circle and copy it to the other side. And I'm going to offset this inward. I think I'm going to go, a 1/2 inch. So offset inward 0.5 inches. No, that's too much. Definitely not a 1/2 inch. Is it 3/8? Let's see here. Still too much. All right, 1/4. Yeah, I'll work with that. All right. So on this part, knowing that this is going to end up 1/4 of an inch over, I'm just going to go node editing, and I'm going to actually move the node a little bit in this direction, and then I'm going to stop, keeping the left mouse button held down. I'm going to type in 0.25 and hit enter to move that over. Okay. So there's a slight chamfer. Now, I need to put a point in right here. Insert a point. And snap that back into line there. Now I need this point right here to line up with this one. So I'm going to select the one I want to align to first. Hold down the shift key, select I want to align second, and hit the letter X to pull that straight. And then here, I'm just going to go right in the middle point and insert a point right in the middle, and I'm going to turn this to an arc. It's more of a Bezier curve than an arc. But let's go with an arc and see what I can ascertain here. Yeah, it's going to be a Bezier curve, not really an arc, because I need, this is going to, if we look at the photo again, it's just a slight little curve and then this angled straightaway, right? So there's a very small radius right here, a very small radius. And the whatever I do, I can't come past that far. So that's important. So a slight angle. All right, I'm going to be happy with that for now. That's good. All right, so let's turn this off. Again, we're going to get rid of the bottom span. We will keep the two sides, but we are getting rid of the bottom span. Delete the span. Now, we are creating this whole part. Let's move this. I'm just going to move this over for a minute. We are creating this whole part that 3/4 of an inch thick. Even though technically it's, you know, the bottom goes to 3/8 and everything, we're still full 3/4, and then we're going to use the merge low combine mode to get rid of all the, you know, to kind of combine these two parts together. So let me get lined up here in the center. And let me make sure I am centered. There we go. All right, I'm going to turn and spin that. select that vector, rotate and spin. All right, let's close this. Now I'm going to turn off the two-sided view for a minute. So that way when we're looking at this 3D view, you can see this part. Okay, let's turn it upside down. What? Bear with me. All right, so that's what we've got going on here, right? It's upside down, but there's a little bit of a hump right there. It doesn't kind of transition very well. So it gets dark right here, and then it lightens up again, and then it starts getting dark again. There's a little bit of a hump right there in my drawing. So I want to redo that really quickly. I want to fix that. And I can see the hump right there. And it's right at where this junction is. So on this Bezier curve, it needs to be more of a, I mean, if I were to insert a point, let's say right here, believe that would get rid of that. So let's try that again. Select the vector and apply. Now, when we make sure that all right, give me just a second. Look at the 3D view here. Let me clean up. There's still a dark transition there. I'm not sure what that is. That might just be an anomaly. But let's flip this back over on the right side up. That's going to be our part. Now, here's the cool part. God, I hope this works. I'm going to turn on the two-sided view. Okay. And on the two-sided view, if I come into my component and change this to merge low, and on the other side, change that let me get we're there, but I got to merge low on my other side. Let's go to the other side. This is not an add. It should be a merge. And it should be a merge low. Okay, so all right, let me get them to merge. Let me get them to play nice here. You know what's crazy is the it's exactly right, but it's my part being 3/4 of an inch here is making it that tall when it should really only be that 3/8 of an inch, and this should only be that 3/8 of an inch. 3/8 and 3/8 makes my 3/4, right? Right. So, um, from here to here. I'm not going to let it trick me now. Okay. This needs to sit into this. So I need all right, I got to redraw this part really quickly. So side one, my mistake was making this the full 3/4 of an inch because it's sitting on here. And even on the merge, for some reason, I don't know if it's my 12.5 or what, but they're not merging down. They're not merging with each other. So when I change this to merge low, combine mode, merge low, it's not playing well. If I turn the other side and merge this, you know, nothing is changing, right? Now, if I took my side one part and, lowered it down or something, that's one thing, but I need to redraw it really quickly. So side one, top side, this profile, if I were to take both profiles, just so you understand what I'm surmising here, if I take this profile and copy it to the other side, and I take this profile and bring it here and snap these two together, this is 100% what we're seeing on the screen. 100%. That tall, it's that tall, right? When in fact, this actually needs to come down to basically kind of be like this, right? So even though that I'm 3/4 of an inch tall here, it the extra part of the legs here don't belong. So this part of this leg on side two doesn't belong here, and this part doesn't belong here, when the two are together. So if I came and I took this and I snapped this down, and I can kind of meet in the middle, I don't have to cut off both, both parts and everything. I can say, okay, our middle point, right, which is, let me bring it down here. Our middle point right here, I'm going to go into node editing, and I need a leg there. So I'm going to insert a point on the center of that line right there, and I'm going to delete the rest of this. Over here on this leg, I'm going to insert a point, not there, right here in the middle. And I'm going to delete this span up here. And on this leg, I kind of want, I want to come down to my, the point right here. I'm going to use a guideline to kind of help me with that. But on this leg, I want to come down to here and cut the vector and get rid of that leg here. Get rid of this leg. There. So this is what my part should look like, right? That's what my tray, like a cutaway kind of profile should be. And if I look at that, as that is and everything, if I come here, this is my profile for side 1. This is my profile for side 2. So I'm going to take this and put this back on side 2, move it back to the other side, or copy it back to the other side. We'll just do that. And on side 1, which I'm on the top side, I'm going to actually, I'll keep this component just for kicks and giggles, but I'm actually going to redo my turn and spin. Let's turn off the vector or the points here. And I'm going to redo that turn and spin tool. So we're going to come in here and bear with me. Okay. All right, so the model that just got created, let me turn off the other one. Is not centered, but it is the right size. But it has that damn cone flat in the middle of it. Tricky. Oh, what? Wait a minute. That's going to the full length. It needs. Oh, Lord. What does it need? It needs that leg. We have determined that. We have determined that over and over again. It needs this leg here. We've determined that it needs this leg. I'm going to actually go here to that leg. And on this part, I'm actually going to go here. And that one already goes up there. If oh, hold on. I just had a magical aha moment. Let me put these two parts back together real quick. An aha moment. Let me see what my measurement is. Let me see. Let's make sure that I'm not being stupid here. From here to the top should be 3/4, and it is. Okay, so that's 3/4. That is right. My part here let's sweep this one and see. Let's sweep that one. Nope. All right, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It needs both legs. So I just got to get them to combine proper. Any suggestions in the chat? What do we have in the chat? Anybody got any suggestions or anything for me? I'll take them. Let me make sure my earpiece is still working. JR, if you're there, can you say something? Let me make sure, JR, you're not muted. So my earpiece did die. I thought I heard a beep. Bear with me just a second. JR, can you say something?
Yeah, I'm here.
I got you. Okay. All right. We got this was supposed to be an easy class, and I'm getting kicked in the balls. There's no easy way to say this. All right. These two legs have to be the same length no matter what. That's fine. I'll make it the same length. So I'll draw a line from here to here, straight across and down. And I'll verify that that is the same height. And I'll make that one vector. And that'll be what I sweep here. Let's delete all these guys again. Let's turn and sweep this part here. And that gives me my flat region. So the legs have to be, the same height. That's okay. That's okay. I can handle that. So this leg has to be the same height as this leg. So we'll come in here, draw this up. I'll snap it to there to wake up that vector. Wake up. Wake up. Dude. I hate when stuff doesn't work. Okay. We'll make that the same height. Make that one vector. All right. We will copy this over to the other side and flip over to the other side. Pull this one out of the way. Take this one and bring this over here. I can see, with this part that it's going to be thicker, but I'll be able to merge the two together, hopefully, properly this time. So create that part. All right. Now, my model position in the material course says an error. No kidding, dude. We know that it's, the model thickness is 1.5 inches. On my component here, if I go to the properties, it is 3/4 of an inch thick. And and on the other side, when you have a window open, it will not let you move over or flip to the other side and all. So if you ever can't flip to the other side or something, that's the reason why. On this one, I'm going to go into the component tree. And again, this one, if I go to the properties, we're at 3/4 and it should be 3/8. And as a whole now, let's get rid of the model plane. We are still, this lip should only be 1/4 inch, and then it should transition into, this is too low down here, right? So I'm going to take side 2. Side 1, I'm going to leave my 3/8. Side 2 right here, I'm going to put back, I'm going to reset that component height on side 2. And it's not going to let me, so I have to actually do an undo. Undo. I need this. So on side 1, I'm going to change side 1 to my 3/8. And still not done with this yet. This lip, again, is only supposed to be a quarter, and it transitions here. So there's still meat right here that needs to be, this literally needs to be down inside of this component. So on the base height, I do not believe it'll let me push this down. Let's find out. Oop, hold on. Okay. Which it did. All right. So what I needed to do, ladies and gentlemen, is the combined mode is merge low, meaning it got rid of everything, on the outside here. If this was just a regular merge, or an add or subtract and all, in some cases, let me see if my other part is set to a merge. Let's go to the other side. That one's also set to a merge. Okay. So 0.75 to 0.9375 is what? 75.8125 is an eighth. So a quarter of an inch. Do y'all agree with that? Do y'all agree with that math? 0.9375 minus 0.75 is a quarter? No, I don't agree with it. 0.9375 minus 0.75 equals. Let's do that math again. Come on, Lane. You got it, buddy. 0.9375 minus 0.75 should be 3/16. There we go. Yes. All right, 3/16. That's how deep this dish is, 3/16, when it should be 3/8. Okay, it was designed to be 3/8 of an inch deep. And when this part was condensed down in size, right here, I'm going to make it back to 0.75. I lost it, squished it, flattened that out. So this is my 3/8 of an inch depth right here. Okay. And so on the part, that has to stay just like this, but it needs to come down. The base height needs to come down, and anything below the zero plane, because of the merge low, all of this on the bottom side is the low side. It gets rid of all the stuff on the outside. Now, I say that, but if I set this to merge, it's still not going to show you that wood. And I do not believe it's because I have the modeling plane turned off or anything. It is just taking this part, and let me go to the other side. Make this a merge. And even with them merging together, Add isn't the right combine mode. Subtract is the wrong direction. Merge. Merges the part and merge low. There's no change. Okay. So in this case, it could be merge or merge low, but I'm going to use merge low because I don't want any anomalies to be in here on either side. So let's flip over and turn this to merge low also. What merge low does is it gets rid of any excess. If it would show any excess, it doesn't. It would get rid of this. So this is my tray. Long story short, here's what we did, ladies and gentlemen. This part for side 2, if we look at the size of it, it is 3/4 of an inch in height from the bottom of the leg to the top here. It's 3/4. The half, of my 3 3/4 inch circle, half of it is 1.875, so that's the size. And we extruded the part just like we did the other day. Okay, the full 3/4. So imagine we have the outside of the bowl and the top part, there's nothing. It's hollow. No lip, no edge, no nothing. It's completely hollow. We just have this outside shell. Okay? And then on side 1, our graphic that we used to extrude the part was also 3/4. From the very tip top here to the bottom of this leg, it was our 3/4 inch piece. And of course, the bottom shelf, where it tapers down, that's 3/8 of an inch, that shelf deep. But that's also there. Now, I have this 3/4 inch part and this 3/4 inch part, and I'm shoving them together until the top ledge here. So let me show you visually on the screen here. So I've got these two parts, and I'm shoving them together until the top of the part, the top part is, pushed into the bottom, and any overlap or excess here and here, the software eliminates. So it gets rid of all this wood right in here that goes around that shell. It makes it disappear. And all of the wood that's, here, where this leg is, makes that disappear. It cancels, they cancel each other out. And because I have that shoved down, the top of my board is at my 0 plane, if you will, right? And that's that. Now, what if I wanted to, let's take this on the properties here, and let's say that I bring this to -3/8, so it comes up a little bit, right? And on side 2, I bring that down 3/8 into side 1, right? 0.37 negative. And shove that down. Okay. Now I have a true split down the middle. There's my 0 plane. That plane is down the middle. Okay, right here, that dividing line. So now I have side 1 and side 2. The other way, 10 seconds ago, I took side 1 and moved it, basically shoved it all the way down to where that top rim right here was flush with the 0 plane, shoving everything into side 2. Instead of bringing side 2 up halfway, bringing side 1 down halfway, so they meet in the middle and they merge perfectly. Because on the two-sided project, let's get rid of that 0 plane or a modeling plane. On the two-sided project, Vectric removes all those anomalies and everything. all the extra wood, so the two parts come together as a two-sided project. So that's the part. It took us 2 hours to get to this point. Sorry about that. 2 hours to get to that point. Holy jeez Louise. But that is it. So we had to draw the full 3/4 inch bottom, the full 3/4 inch profile for the top, create those shapes, push the top down halfway, push the bottom up halfway, and basically, together. And then any excess wood and waste with the merge combination gets gone. Software erases it. Right? And that's that. Now, too bad it didn't take as long as it just took me to explain that in that last little bit. We'd have been moving along. So I'm going to hit save. Oops. And this is going to be my top piece. All right, let's pause here for a second, not stop, but pause for questions. Because I know there's some confusion. Don't tell me you sat there and you followed right along and you're not confused at all. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask before we move on to side 2. And again, this profile is a full 3/4 inch tall, half my circle, 1.875 wide. I've got my 1/4 inch little lip, and then it curves into that little taper to the bottom. This is the bottom part. If I flip it upside down, it looks like that, right? So that's think of this like an empty cavity that just got formed, right? And then on the other side, this profile is a full 3/4 inch board, was formed as well. And then when we shove the two together, bringing this one up and that one down, and they merge together, all the excess gets removed, automatically. And we end up with our two-sided part. Okay. I don't see any questions, but that is part 1. That's that. All right, now that I know what's going on, and part 2 is not two-sided, it's just one-sided, it's just one piece. The bottom part is kind of a little bit of a cakewalk. Let me put this here. Let me take this and put that there for now. But I'm going to assume from the photos, not that photo, from this photo right here, that the base and the top are the same diameter, 3 3/4. I think it's just kind of like that hourglass type shape. So I'm going to stick with that. If he tells me anything different when I talk to him on Monday or whatever, then we'll go from there. But I'm going to use that same diameter. So I'm going to take this right here and I'm going to copy this to the other sheet. Now, this one I have a little bit of creative freedom with on this one. When we look at the photos of this base piece, and we'll look at the bigger photo. Let me switch over to the bigger photo. Not that one. This one. I have some creative freedoms with this. So I can create this profile how I think I see it here. And I'm going to go right up to this line right here. So basically everything from right here where my mouse is straight across to the other side, and from here to the other side is flat. So all of that is flat, and this pedestal is sitting on top of that. So I'm only creating bottom part up to this flat right here. And what I see is, I've got a little bit of a round over, step down, a little bit of a round over, step down, a little bit of a round over, step down, a little bit of a round over. And then on this bottom piece, it's a little bit of a concave, and then there's like a little flat lip right here. So it's a concave, round over, round over, round over, round over, round over, flat. So that's what I'm going to make. That's what I'm going to draw. And so on my part, again, I have some freedoms here and everything. So as far as the thickness, if I had to determine from the bottom of this base up to the thickness of this, how thick is it? I'm going to assume it's 3/4 of an inch thick. Unless he tells me something different on Monday, but this is going to be a 3/4 inch piece of material right here. Okay, to that flat. So here I'm going to draw the profile, and it's going to be on the sides, it's going to be 1.875 wide, 3/4 inches thick. Okay. Now we're going to make the left side here, leave it straight. The right side is going to be the one that's going to kind of roll over. And I'm going to determine, or I'm going to assume that from the flat, from the outer edge, that there's a concave that steps over a 1/4 of an inch, the wrong direction. And then from there, every 1/8 of an inch, I'm gonna have this kind of concave up to this, and then I'll have the roundovers. And this is even actually too wide. Let's delete that guide and let's do that again. Let's go 3/16. So negative 0.1875. Ooh. Negative 0.1875. One more time. All right, let's delete this. Delete that because I made those by mistake. All right, so it's going to concave, and then it's going to do the little roundover stepping up. And I'm going to assume that each roundover is an 1/8 of an inch, radius. So I'm going to step over that 1/8 of an inch, or we'll go 1/4, 1/8 of an inch. So relative guide, and I'm going to go, that's not the right photo. From that concave, one. Now there's a little roundover right here, and then there's a bigger one, and then it's little. Gosh, I wish he would. I'm gonna have him send me better pictures. But anyway, I'm just interpreting what I see. Concave, roundover, bigger roundover, little, bigger, little. All right, we'll play that game. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on my lines here, I'm going to do 5 copies. No, I'm not going to do 5 copies. I'm going to do 1. I'm going to go ahead and step it over an 1/8 of an inch, 0.125. All right. And then, and what I want to do when I do this again, I want to make sure that I have select new guide so I can just keep typing and all. So now that 1/8 inch little roundover, and then there's a little bit bigger roundover. So on the bigger roundover, I'm going to go 3/16. So I'm just going to use those numbers. So 1875, 1875. Select new. I'm going to hit create new guide, and then I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch. And then, so concave, little, big, little, big, one more, 1875, and then 1/8. Okay, so here, from here to here, there's gonna be a little like stair step, and this one kind of is a concave. So from this line down here at the bottom, I'm going to step up only 1/8 of an inch because it's a small little lip. So it's going to go 1/8 of an inch positive on that relative guide. And then it's going to be, from here, there's going to be a concave. So we're going to go 3/16. Select new, so I don't have to keep opening and closing this box. One-eighth. 3/16. And then I should land if I'm doing this right. I should probably land at 1/8. Yep. Okay. So here is my part. Arc from here to here. It's going to be if I'm moving in the correct direction. I think I am. Give me just a second. I'm trying to bear with me a moment. Oops. All right, so that's going to be my concave right there. And then from there, I'm going to have 1/8 inch step over. From there, 1/8 inch. I think 3/16 was a little bit too aggressive right there, but I don't think that is that 3/16. It looks like it's a little bigger than 3/16, but let's find out. No, that's okay. I don't know how I'm getting, I think 3/16 is a bit much, but that's okay. Let's get this trimmed up really quickly here. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So let's turn off the grid so you can see what I have here. The concave 8, 3/16, 8. I'm missing like, half of my, so I need to cut these in half. It should be 16th. Instead of an eighth, it should be a 16th. And instead of 3/16, it should be what the hell is 7:30? What? Hold on now. Did I get stupid in this last 3 hours? Let me see here. 0.1875 divided by 2. Okay. 0.037. Okay. 364. So, okay. So my step over and everything was too big, too much, too big. So I'm going to turn my grid back on. I'm going to undo what I got here. Except for that part. I'm going to keep that right there. And I'm not going to forget the grid. I don't need the grid to lay out. I know exactly what my layout's going to be. I need to draw a circle that's a 1/16 of an inch in diameter. Or an 1/8 of an inch in diameter, which will give me a 1/16 of an inch radius. That's good. We'll just do that. And that needs to connect down here. That needs to connect right. Get with it, boy. Right there. And then I need another circle that's going to be 0.09375. This, find the middle there, goes right there. Now, I can take this. I don't need to redraw or reinvent the wheel. Grab that, hold down the control key. Let's turn off the grid. I don't need that anymore now. Grab it right in the middle, hold down the control key and snap that to here. Grab this, hold down the control key, grab it right here and snap that to there. Grab this, grab that and snap that to there. And let me take the scissors and start cleaning this up a little bit. Let me get this. I might have to do another 16th bid. That's fine. Yep. Snap that. Well, let me grab the right side. There we go. Okay. So now let me take my scissors, trim that away. Are y'all not overlapping? Okay, I'll fix that. Okay, so it's important for me to have overlap, which I do here, but I don't, even though it shows it's on the line, it's not, because when I try to trim this, it doesn't trim. So I'm going to go into node editing, and I'm just going to fudge it a little bit. Nope. Sorry, I'm just going to fudge it a little because I don't care about that. And then that should bring those two ends together. Right, but I deleted the wrong side. Let's trim this side. There we go. That and that. There we go. Lord of mercy. Okay, that's my shape. That's what I'm going with. That's what I'm calling as the shape. Node editing, we're going to delete this span. And that is going to be the profile that we bring to the middle here. We come over to our turn and sweep tool. And apply. Go into our 3D view. That will be the base. Now, if he says, actually it's a concave and a concave on these two bigger parts, which probably makes more sense, you know, on these two here, that they be concave instead of convex, then it'll be an easy, you know, change for me. I'm not going to be cutting the part out. It would, on those parts, if I step back, to right there, it would actually make sense if the part was a convex, where it beaded, or, you know, here, bead, convex here. So grab it in the middle and snap that right there. So concave, bead, concave, bead, and then this would be a double bead up here. So once again, in node editing, I'm going to just cheat this up here a little bit because I already know that just a little. All right, so if I take the scissors and trim this away, I should be able to bead, bead, concave, bead, concave, bead, concave, like that. And here, it'll want to bring the end parts there, but that's wrong. So I need to delete this point and get that out of there. And then in node editing, get rid of this. And then respin that. So take that to the center, turn and spin, apply, and, you know, that would be that part. And I think I'll leave it like that until I talk with him and he tells me something different. So that's side two. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're 2 hours and 19 minutes in. Have I put you to sleep or confused you to where you don't want to continue, or do you want to move on to the Rotary? It shouldn't be too long to take the Rotary to its level. But that is, I need to know in the chat. Let me know what you got going on. If you're awake, if you're sleeping, if you're bored, over it, let me know. All right, so we're going to save that. And I can't do rotary and flat in the same job, so I'm going to open up a second window. Now, top part 3/4 inches thick, bottom part 3/4 inches thick. That's 1.5 inches. My total piece is 9 1/4. So that tells me what my center part is. Let me know in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still with me. When we create this part here, it's going to be a rotary job. The length is going to be our 9.25 minus the 1.5 inches that we already have, right? So 7 3/4. And the diameter, now that post down the middle isn't, it's fairly small. Our overall disc are only 3 3/4, and that post is going to be most likely a 2-inch in diameter post. So I'm going to, I'll have him measure, for me and all, but it's going to be 2 inches on the narrow part, but it gets wide at the bottom. So if we look at the photo here, not that photo, I don't know why I keep closing the photo, but if you recall, the part I just made goes to this flat level right here. So this is our wide part, and then it also tapers out, up here. So even though the middle is about, let's say, 2 inches and all, it gets wide at the top and the wide at the bottom. Now, if I were to estimate the distance from where the flat starts on that roundover to where this piece is, I'm going to, again, this is a 3 3/4 inch overall piece right here. So don't let the size in the photos, fool you. But I'm going to say that this is about a 1 inch right here. Now, if we look at the part that we just created and everything here on that inner piece right here, if we come in and that inner piece starts, here, and I can tell how wide this is by measuring the distance on my profile. So a horizontal distance from the top of the bead right here to the outer edge right here, that's a horizontal distance of 0.6192. So that's how, if I take that number from my radius, this whole thing right here, if I take that number and let's say multiply that by 2, let's just do that. Very simple. I'll select this for a moment, but I'm going to take this number and I'm going to take 0.6192 times 2 equals, and that's 1.2384. So that means this whole ring, both sides from here to here and from here to here, takes up let's call it 1 1/4. And so if I took my 3 3/4 inch piece and I subtract that, equals, that gives me this inner circle right here of 2.5, 2 and 9/16, 2.51 instead of 5.5625, 5.625. But it's 2, we'll just call it 2 and 9/16 for right now. If that's 2 and 9/16 and I'm a 1/2 inch in or 1 inch in, I lose a 1/2 inch on this side and a 1/2 inch on this side. That means that my part, that middle part and all, is, 1 3/4. So if let's do it this way. If I draw a 2-inch circle and I snap it right here to the middle, that's there. So I think my blank is a 2-inch blank. I think that's what my pedestal is. And I think it actually tapers in to maybe 1.5 or 1 or whatever, the narrow parts and all, but 2 inches is where we're at. So that's what my rotary part needs to be. And this, what you're doing, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm doing, is, you're literally like, I'm building this from photos, you're building it from scratch, you're building it from your imagination. You just, construct it from, visual observation, right? All right, so we work off the cylinder center, the bottom left corner. We rotate around the x-axis on our rotary axis. So that would be our job. So on this case, if my blank is 2 inches, then the profile that I'm creating is 1 inch, because we create the profile based on half the thickness of our diameter, our radius. So on my part here, it's going to be 1 inch. What size did I make my job here? 7 3/4 by 2. Wonderful. So my rectangle is going to be 7 3/4 by 1. All right. Now this, I can, leads me up to interpretation. So the first thing I'm going to do is, there's a radius. So from here, it rounds off, and then it goes into the part. Now I'm going to assume, and if we look at it, look at the shape, I could bring this photo in and I could trace it, let the software trace it, but I could trace it. So let's do that. In Vectric, we'll come in here, we'll import the photo as it is. We'll do a bitmap trace, converting it to a black and white, turning the fading off, and then sliding this until we kind of get a little bit of a clear base. Just a nice profile. I can clean up this little bit of an anomaly. We're going to preview that. We're going to click apply and close. We're going to get rid of the photo. We're going to come in here and get rid of all of our trash, ungroup everything, get rid of any trash that doesn't belong. All right, so that's not connected to anything right there, so that can be deleted. All right, so what we're going to do is, I'm going to just for right now draw a straight line from here to here, or well, somewhat straight, right? We'll straighten it out, but I'm going to draw a line from there to there. That gives me the opportunity to take the scissors and cut that away, and then delete that. Here, we're not making a bong, so we're going to get rid of that. Let's go into node editing. Come over here, delete that point. Cut the vector right here. Cut the vector up here. Delete all of that, and then join this with a smooth curve. Not that much of a curve. And then I've got a little bit of an anomaly here on that. If I look at that photo on the right side, this, let me see. Let me bring that photo in again. Import. Wait for it. Okay, so I got to get my little, the cone here, right there. I got to put that in there. So node editing, insert a point right here. Pull that point out to there. Turn off smoothing. This way I can bring this in to here, and I can bring this in to here. Let's get that somewhat Now, I want this to be symmetrical, so I'm only going to focus on one side once I have this, and I'm going to mirror over to the other side. All right, so on here, our profile comes down to here. So I'll just take a freehand trace tool, and I'm going to come in and freehand this right to here. And then we'll call that good. So in node editing, let me turn off this bitmap layer. In node editing, I'm going to go ahead and cut the vector right here. And I'm actually going to cut the vector here and get rid of all of that. Join this together with a smooth curve just to kind of bring that together. Again, it's not, very clean and all, but that's fine. Now, I'm going to take this vector that I just traced, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Now, there's no telling. And again, my photo was not scaled to size or any of that stuff and blah, blah, blah. But there's no telling what oh, Lord of mercy. Like if the photo was straight, like if it was crooked or what have you and all that. So there's nothing, telling me, that it was crooked, it was straight, it was what have you. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to go to the size tool. On the size tool. And I'm going to size this up to 7 3/4 because that's how long my piece is, 7.75. And I'm going to snap this to this point right here. And I'm going to now go into node editing and start to play cleanup. So I'm going to bring this down to this corner, and I'm going to, kind of start smoothing this transition there. I'm going to straighten this line up. This line is crooked, so I'm actually going to bring that back and bring that to here. Straighten that line up. And I'm going to delete this point right here and kind of, start to smooth this out. Now, I'm not going to sit there and try to smooth all these nodes on my own. I'm going to use the curve fit tool. And I'm going to tell it that it's Bezier curves. I want to keep, if there's any sharp points or whatever, we'll keep those. But I want to replace the existing vector, and I want to replace that. And it's going to do its best to straighten out these curves and everything. And so I am going to all of these natural little bends, unless there's an undercut that I need to be worried about or anything like that, I'm going to leave it just like it is. Give it that uniqueness. Now, from there, that is, I got to draw a line. Well, I don't have to draw a line. That's a lie. I have to take my scissors and trim this away and then go into node editing mode and trim this bottom line away. Span, get rid of that, delete it. So now what I should be left with is this part right here, but I have a duplicate right here. I've got two lines on top of each other. So on this here, I should be able to, in node editing, well, actually, it's a single line. I should be able to select this like this, all the vectors, hold down the shift key and turn this one off, and it leaves that one selected, and hit delete. Should be able to do that, and then that's good. So that's going to be my profile. Easy peasy. Don't have to overcomplicate things. Like I said, it doesn't have to be an exact match, but hell, it's going to be close now. So now we're going to take a 2-rail sweep by drawing 2 lines. Well, we already have the 2 lines here. One right there and one right there. That's going to be our drive rails on our 2-rail sweep. We're going to take our profile. We're going to click apply. That's going to give us this part here. And if we unwrap it just for visual purposes and all, that's this part right here. So nice and smooth. There's no jagged junks or anything like that, or anything I need to be, concerned about. My router bit can get down to all of these parts. There are no undercuts for me to have to deal with or anything. And that is my centerpiece. Okay. Stand tall, boy. All right. Now, let's rotate this around. There we go. So that's going to be the base. And so that's what I'm going to do for the base. And then, of course, like I said, the top and the bottom will, I'll drill holes, center holes. I'll either, if he wants a threaded insert and he wants the top and bottom to be able to screw on for, anything, that's fine. If he wants it to be glued together, that's fine. Personally, I would, I've got a shotgun bit. I could bore a hole right through the middle of it and turn it into a lamp. Right? Whatever. That is our centerpiece. So we will save that. File, save as. And this will be our center spindle, we'll call it. Oop. Hold on. File cannot be saved while, I have a tool open. Close this tool. Now I'll save it. Okay. So the moral of that story is use the resources that you have at your disposal. Even though it was a bad photo, it was enough of a photo that I could trace it to get a general layout of the profile. I was able to use the curve fit tool to smooth that off. I bring it, turn it, rotate it, lay it in my, 1 inch by 7 3/4 rectangle, to kind of get my layout, make sure everything is good. And then trim away, get rid of the, rectangle, giving me my 2 legs on the end. And then sweep, right? So not too shabby. What do you think, JR?
Pretty cool. I'm wondering, did you give him a wood type you're planning on putting this into?
No, he's going to paint it. So if he's going to paint it, I'm not going to be putting it on, anything, too high end. I'll probably use like a poplar or something, I don't know why he's going to paint it. I told him, I said, man, I could do this in a nice walnut or something. And it would look, pretty epic. But
I was thinking actually MDF and textured spray paint.
Yeah, you could. That would give it that, and you could probably use that texture like a hammered paint,
Yep.
Yep. I actually wonder what that would. You'd have to prime it because the fuzzies on MDF, or it gets a fuzzy, type of material. You'd have to prime it for sure. Sand it smooth, and then top coat it with that hammered paint. You could do that.
Yeah, it comes out good.
Yeah.
I haven't done the black hammered, but I've done some bronze on some clock faces that I did with MDF.
Yeah, that not a bad idea. The Not a bad idea. Let's see here, real quick. Y'all have probably already seen a model like this, or these pedestals and stuff. But let me see. That would be back in the 2000. Yeah. So let me see if I can. See if I can download this. Download. One of my favorites that I've ever done, I just wanted to share with y'all, was this guy here. And the base was made out of walnut. Let me see if I can download. Open. So the base was made out of walnut, and then the top and the bottom I made out of zebra wood, and the bottom I just made out of a walnut, and the stupid me on my inlays in there, I tried to inlay walnut inside of zebra wood, thinking that there would be enough of a contrast. In the sunlight, yeah, I can see the inlays and all that, but in the house, can't see them for nothing. So it didn't turn out as good as I thought it was, but I thought it would and everything. But one of my favorite, fourth axis, rotary axis, and even at that, when it was carving, let's see here. Man, it was fuzzy. I mean, even on the wall, I mean, it was splintery and all that stuff and all. I thought, man, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And then, ultimately, it cleaned up really nicely. So I like doing rotary axis jobs. If ever y'all have a chance and y'all, get your hands on a rotary axis or something, they're fun. And this, I think, is going to be a really nice looking piece from that rough ass photo. This is the vector that we were able to generate, smooth it out with that curve fit tool. Even that little bit right there, if we look at that part in the model, where's that in the model? That's under that lip. That's under here. Right there. That creates that little accent right there where it kind of comes down and it tapers a little bit more in before it curves. So going to keep it, not going to change it or anything like that. It gives it a little bit of an extra little element there. But I think that'll turn out, from what it was, or from the image that, that it was gotten from, not too bad. But yeah, that is actually a good idea. I need to find out what, now here's the deal, but I need to find out what it's going to be used for. Because I wouldn't want the top MDF and all. I mean, it would stand the test of time, but if there's any chance that this dude is using it for a little flower stand or something like that, where there's going to be water getting on it or whatever, I know the paint's going to silt and all, but I wouldn't want to take that kind of chance. But I think that's a great idea. The MDF and hammered paint, if he wants that metalled look, probably damn well come looking just like it probably look pretty darn close.
Yeah.
With a hammer gloss paint and everything, the way that texture looks, and things like that. I'll ask them.
I'd find out if it needs to be weighted on the base too.
Yes. Now that's easy to do. I have the flat part already cut out. If I need to weigh the base, I can run a pocket cut and I can actually pour. I've got BBs or something I can pour in there. I could, if I need to, I can melt down. I got a little furnace where I can melt down some aluminum cans or whatever. Aluminum's not going to give me enough weight, but I can put BBs in there, you know, pack it to where they're not rolling around, where they're not rattling around. But I got a little
smelter.
Whatever it's called. Yeah, a little container full of BBs just for that purpose. I mostly use them for my dead blow little mallets, my dead blow mallets that I've made. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 hours and 45 minutes in. That is where we are at. Here is what we landed on. So once again, this is our pedestal base, and then we have our bottom model that base is going to sit on. And then on top sheet, we have our top tray. So we'll see how well that does.
That would definitely be a suggestion to get into Vectrix, is to be able to put flat and rotary on the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's another sheet, right? So I think, I mean, I don't see why that would be a thing that you couldn't do, because it's a completely different board. A sheet is a board or another piece of material. So if I set up another piece of material and I want that piece of material to be on my rotary, I don't see why that would be a problem, or why that wouldn't be, because when I go to edit this, like if I click here and I click on edit, oops, and it takes me back to the job setup so I can edit that sheet independently of the other sheets, I should be able to turn it into a rotary and set it up as a rotary. I don't see anything that would cause any complications in that whatsoever.
Yeah,
so I might bring that, suggest that to them. Just say, hey, here's a unique situation that called for these two things. I'd love to be able to keep it all in one, work window or one interface, why is, just so I know why don't you allow this, and and see what they say. But could always be a future update if I'll reach out to them and ask them that. So there are our parts, and with that, we'll leave it at that. If y'all want in a future, sorry, hold on, I dropped my microphone. Sorry. If y'all want in a future class or another class, or and everything, to make something like this, not this exact thing, we could do something a little bit different. Home, God, whatever, or whatever the case may be. And you want to learn how to do something like this, because on the components, you can see the components here that were involved with making that. If we turn this off and look at the 3D view and look at just some of the parts, turn off the base here. So, you have your base, right? You have the part that's also a base. Let's go to part 7 here. You have the half part that sits on top of the base. You've got the little flourishes, or the little swirly dude, the word love. You've got the bark, right? And all these things, come together to eventually create the finished design. Got one more here. Base. turn that off. Yep. But if y'all are curious, or you want to do something similar to that, or maybe not that same, or whatever, but you want to, see how you can ensure that your parts are nice and sharp, and you don't end up, with bad designs or whatever, let me know. We'll make a class out of it. We'll do something like that. And also, keep throwing out suggestions on what you want to do for future classes and things like that. JR, are you going to be able to watch tomorrow night's live event? Now, tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, there is no public class. I'm going to be doing a private event just for Digital Woodcarver customers. We're going to be talking about the Omni Control software, the user interface that we're releasing for all the customers and all. And so it's a private event, but we'll be back next Wednesday for our class, our exclusive class, and then Thursday for our public. But tomorrow night there will not be a public class because I'll be doing the live event for the Digital Woodcarver customers. You're going to be able to pop in and see that, JR. It'll be important.
Yeah.
Because you are running, I believe I got you running the Omni Control software right now. So
yeah, I'm going to go on there. Is it going to be at a pace where I could do an install while you're doing it?
You're already installed.
On my one computer. I got another computer that I want to set up for the 1824 and my 2440.
Yeah, I do not believe it's going to be at a pace where you can do an install, but there is a complete, up-to-date, step-by-step how-to video on how to install the Omni Control. So just a real quick, which screen is that? That's that screen. I wouldn't, just be, steer clear of updating until you watch the live event because there's details. If you don't install it correctly, then it'll screw up your performance of your machine. So just be careful with that. On the video up here at the top under support, the Omni Control Upgrade Center, you can scroll down, and here's the video on how to install the Omni Control software.
Oh, cool. Scroll
down further, and here's the downloads. So for the 2440, 1824 for everything. But also just keep in mind, make sure you watch the event so you can see exactly what needs to be turned off and all. Otherwise, when you install it, your machine won't move and you'll be wondering why, and you'll be calling me and all. And the whole purpose of this live event is to minimize customer support calls. So, but the download and the videos here, it's all right there. But no, I don't know. I don't think that it's going to be at a pace for install, but it's going to be a pretty decently long video talk. So we're going to be answering questions. Also, depends on how fast you are at installing, I guess. I'm going to be going over the user interface and things. So, I mean, there is time. There will be time and all that. All right, everybody. Well, listen, I'm going to let you go for tonight. I've got to go actually set up 3 CNC machines for this live demo tomorrow. And I'm going to jump on that, and then I'm going to get some rest. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully you picked up something from tonight in these topics and everything. And we'll see you in the next one. All right, everybody. Take it easy.
Hit the like button.
Yeah, that's right. Like, and you can't share it because it's a private class, but at least hit the like button.